Daisy here, and today I'm gonna share to you what is hydrometeorological hazard. So first, let's dissect the words and explain their definition. Hydrometeorology, it is a branch of meteorology and hydrology that studies the transfer of water and energy between the land surface and the lower atmosphere. Any source that can cause harm or damage to humans, property, or the environment. So let's go back to what is hydrometeorological hazard. It is include tropical cyclones, also as known typhoons and hurricanes, thunderstorms, hailstorms, tornadoes, blizzards, heavy snowfall, avalanches, coastal storm surges, flood including flash floods, drought, heat waves, and cold spells. So, here are the things to do before the first, have emergency kits and survival pack prepared. Second, store foods and clean water enough for 3 days. Third, prepare candles, flashlights, and extra batteries in case the power goes out. And number 4, listen to the radio or watch TV for news updates.
These are the signs of impending hydrometeorological hazards. Number 1. Typhoon. The increase of ocean swell. Barometric pressure drop. Wind speed. Heavy rainfall. Number 2. Thunderstorm. Cloud formation or darkening of the sky. Lightning, wind, and wind. Number 3. Floods. Continuous storms, typhoon, and rain. Distant thunder. Rapidly rising water. Muddy water. Water carry twigs, logs, and other debris. What should you do before hydrometeorological hazard? Have emergency kits and survival packs prepared. These should contain medicine, cash, important documents, whistles, and extra clothes. Store food and clean water, enough for 3 days.
Good day everyone, I am Jamaica Biamson and we will talk about flash floods and storm surges and the tips on what to do before, during, and after flash floods and storm surges. First, we will talk about the flash floods and the tips on what to do before, during, and after flash flood. Flash flood. A flood caused by heavy or excessive rainfall in a short period of time, generally less than 6 hours. Flash floods are usually characterized by raging torrents after heavy rains that rip through riverbeds, urban streets, or mountain canyons, sweeping everything before them. Before the flash flood. Talk about floods. Spend time with your family discussing why floods occur. Explain to children that flooding is a natural event and not anyone's fault. Consider flood insurance. Standard homeowners insurance doesn't cover flood damage. Stay informed. Use a weather radio or listen to a local station on a portable battery-powered radio or television. Listen for and respond to flood watches and warnings. Evacuate if told to do so or if you feel unsafe. During a flash flood, follow guidance of local authorities. Local authorities, such as elected officials and first responders, are most informed about affected areas and most knowledgeable of which flooded areas to avoid. Move to a higher ground. During a flood, you should move to higher ground and avoid standing, flowing, or rising water. Keep children away from dirty water. Keep children and pets away from hazardous sites and flood water, as it's likely to be dirty, carry bacteria, and be vulnerable to electric shock. Wash hands frequently. Bath after being exposed to flood waters or flood damages areas. After a flash flood, ensure utilities are restored. Before returning to flood-affected areas, ensure utilities such as electricity and plumbing are restored. and that living and learning spaces are free from physical and environmental hazards. Clean or discard contaminated items. Do not allow children to play with toys that have been contaminated by flood water and have not been disinfected. Materials that cannot be readily disinfected, such as stuffed animals or pillows, should be discarded. This time, we will
I'm Lovely Villarin, and today I am going to discuss about the El Nino and La Nina. So, temperature changes in global climate systems. El Nino and La Nina are both natural of the global climate systems. These events occur in the Pacific Ocean when the waters and the atmosphere above it deviate from their normal temperatures. So, El Nino is usually associated with the warming of the central and tropical waters of the Pacific Ocean, whereas La Nina would have the exact opposite, which is the cooling of the same areas in a different season. El Nino. El Nino El Nino phenomenon refers to the large-scale warming of the ocean and atmosphere across the central and east-central equatorial Pacific. This event begins with the heating up of the Pacific Ocean near the equator. Trade winds in the ITCZ would move the heated waters westward towards Southeast Asia, including the Philippines, while some global winds blow the warmer waters and air towards the western portion of the Americas. In effect, the winter season of Canada and western portions of the United States become warmer than the average temperatures. In like manner, warming takes place in the Philippines during the cold season of December. So the big idea here is that changes in the temperature of the Pacific waters induce the El Nino and the La Nina phenomena because the Philippines is in the Pacific area. It is prone to the global climate hazard. Now, I'm going to discuss about La Nina. La Nina begins in the eastern part of the Pacific Ocean, much similar to the location of El Nino. The sea surface temperatures during the period become lower by 3 to 5 degrees Celsius. Cyclones formed during this time shift westward, going to the direction of China. In effect, the Philippines is affected by the excessive rainfall and cold temperatures.
Typhoon. A typhoon or bagyo in Filipino are intense circulating winds with heavy rains over water and land. A typhoon are actually tropical cyclone whose winds have reached more than 118 kilometers per hour, which why it is described as intense. A typhoon form when winds blow into areas of the ocean where the water is warm. These winds collect moisture and rise, while colder air move in below. This creates pressure which causes the winds to move very quickly. The more warm air and moisture there is, the more intense the wind. It begins on the surface of the warm northwestern portion of the Pacific Ocean. Thunderstorm. A thunderstorm is also known as electrical storm. It's a storm characterized by heavy rains with the presence of lightning and its acoustic effects on the Earth's atmosphere, known as thunder. Thunderstorm form when warm, moist air rises into cold air, and also Thunderstorms usually happen in summer because of the atmosphere, high humidity, and high temperature. When the high humidity and high temperature combine, it can result a thunderstorm. Flood. A flood is an overflow of water that submerges land that is usually dry. Flood can happen during heavy rains. Usually, low-lying areas are prone to flooding because they receive all the water coming from high elevation. Flood can occur within minutes or over a long period and may last days, weeks, or longer. Flood is the most common and widespread of all weather-related natural disaster.